So before we get started, will you just tell us kind of what your day looks like these days now that you're not doing bookkeeping, but you're kind of running your business?
Yes, I'm running a company and yeah, so I this is a real deal, guys. I my alarm goes off at 4:30 in the morning and I come into the office. Recently established something I call indestructible power hours. So it's from 5 a.m. to 9 a.m. in the morning, and nobody can interrupt me. Nobody can schedule anything during that time. It's just that time is for me to get my deep work done because I find that, once you grow, like everyone wants a piece of you.
hmm
And so yeah, so I do that till 9. Then I take a break and I do like my stuff, exercise and eat and shower, like get ready, all of that kind of stuff. And then by noon I'm back into the office, and now everything is outward facing starting at noon. So now I can like deal with team members, projects that are going on, interviews, people that need me, and all of that stuff because I've gotten my stuff done. So yeah, so that's been working out really well for me.
That's so smart. I love that. Yeah, how you just have that like time in the morning just to get
Yeah,
stuff done you need to do.
yeah.
What does your team look like now?
So we have a team of about 18 people.
Wow.
Most of them are part-time contractors.
Mhm.
I have three full-time employees, then plus myself. And then I also have a business partner that works. I included him in the 18. He
Mhm.
doesn't work full-time like I do,
Mhm.
but he does a lot for us. So.
Nice.
Yeah, and we're
Awesome.
spread all over. We're
Oh yeah.
spread all over the world
Mhm.
and all over the United States. So yeah, so it's a challenge to get everybody together and
Right.
but yeah.
I know. It's great that we can do that now because yeah, I have
I
a
know.
couple like part-time people and they're in different states. So yeah, it's like
Yeah,
really great.
yeah, yeah. I mean, it has its challenges because you're not like, you can't all go to happy hour together and, it's not like working in an office and you're all buddy buddy.
Right.
But it also has the beautiful flip side of we can all work around our schedules. One of our team members just had a baby. So, she can work when her husband gets home from work and she's super, can be super flexible like that. So I love the internet. I love modern times. I love the fact that we can do that. Even with the challenges, I will take it. So,
Love it. Yep, I agree.
yeah.
All right, and will you back up a little bit? How did you get started bookkeeping in the first place and then kind of evolve?
Oh my gosh, how long do we have, Morgan? So, I all right. So I never know like where exactly to start telling to start telling my story. I kind of often will start talking about it in the middle, which is that in 2018, I had been married for almost 20 years. We'd been together for 20 years. We were just about to celebrate our 19th wedding anniversary when my husband had a midlife crisis and decided he didn't want to be married anymore. And the whole, like, my whole, like, future and my whole world just collapsed. It was like somebody just pulled the rug out from under me. And I was like, oh my gosh, like, what am I gonna do? What am I, what am I gonna do? And I had been a stay-at-home mom for that whole time. And I was like, holy, oh my gosh, I've got to get a job. And we didn't get married till we were in our 30s. And so he already owned the house. So like it wasn't even my house. It was just like, see ya, like go off into the wind and make your own way. And I was like, what? And initially, I tried to, when it first happened, I was just so full of adrenaline that I was like, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. And I just reached out to everybody that I knew, everybody that I had like worked with before and said, I'm on the market again. And I just thought I'd be able to step back into my old career. But it turns out that when you're a middle-aged woman with a 20-year gap in her resume, people aren't all that excited about you. And so I didn't know what I was going to do. And at the time, yeah, well, I always wondered, there was this one particular job that I thought I was going to get. I thought everything was going to be okay and everything was fine. And I interviewed with like seven people, including like the vice president of the company, and I was sure that I was going to get this job, and I was like, okay, it's all good. And then they let me know that they didn't have a place for me, and that was when it hit. Like at first it was adrenaline, and then it was like crying on the floor of my daughter's bedroom and like not knowing what I was going to do. And yeah, like it was bad. And like so many people, I mean, bookkeeping, like start your own business ads were everywhere. And like I was seeing all of this, oh, perfect job for stay-at-home moms and like all this and I thought I've always been really good with money, and I managed our daily finances for our family always. And I actually had started working as what's called a daily money manager.
Mhm.
So that, for those of you who don't know, is like a bookkeeper for individuals instead of for a business. And it's very popular for like senior citizens. And that was actually my first, well, not my very first client, but like one of my key clients was a senior citizen she had palsy. So she, like her hand was shaking and she couldn't write checks to pay her bills. So I had a couple of daily money management clients, but when this happened, like I couldn't see myself like building a business doing that. But when I found out about like bookkeeping and there were all these programs that that you could join, I bit the bullet. I decided to join them. The one that I joined was, specifically focused on QuickBooks Online and said, all you need to do is go get your QuickBooks Online certification, and then you'll be listed in this directory and you'll magically get leads, and I will teach you how to do all of this. And so I said, okay. And I had been using Quicken
Mm.
since, which was the first Intuit product. I
Mhm.
had been using that since 1993. One of my first jobs out of college was as an office manager, and I guess I was the bookkeeper for the like I paid the bills and did reconciled accounts and stuff in Quicken. So I thought, oh yeah, it's going to be no big deal to just switch over and do QuickBooks Online. And so I followed my guru's instructions and signed up for my free QBOA account, and I dove into the training, and it was so awful. It was so it was so bad. I um I have a brain disorder. I don't have a learning disability, but it's a brain disorder that means that I have a very difficult time learning from reading. And what I encountered when I went in through the Intuit training was just like a wall of words. And I and there was no hands-on practice, and there I was like, what is this? And I just kept thinking to myself, I could do such a better job than this. Because my former career, what I used to do was I worked for a medical software company, and I developed training for their proprietary software.
Mhm.
I used to travel to hospitals around the country to teach people how to use the software. Then I moved into house, developed our own internal training programs, and it was all like training software. So I was like, I know how to train software, and this is not it. So I um so I just, I mean, at first I was like, I can't chase that squirrel. Like, I just have to get my own life in order, my own, get my own business going, like, get through this. And I did that and, started my little bookkeeping practice. But the noise from all of the other bookkeepers who were trying to get their certifications was so loud that I finally said, I can't stand it anymore. I'm going to create a course, And I created this course, and it was so popular because everyone was struggling. Everyone was struggling. And I knew that I had a I knew that I had a solution um, to help people learn the material. And that's always what our focus has been on our certification courses is like we're not here like this is not a cheat sheet for you to pass the test. Like we're teaching you the material that in the way that you need to know it.
Mhm.
And so that's how we got started. And I can't remember the original question or how far I need to go in this story.
Nope, that's perfect. Yeah, that's really interesting. 'Cause yeah, I mean, tons of people, tons of my audience too has taken your class and found it
Yeah.
really helpful in passing that certification. Because yeah, I think we all know that we need to get it, but it's like arguable how helpful it is and
Yeah.
like
Oh
is
yeah.
it really benefiting us?
Right.
So did you actually do bookkeeping for clients for a couple years or did you just
I
hop right
did.
into
No,
okay.
no, I did. No, yeah. I had clients, just yeah, I had a handful of clients that once I decided that I wanted to pursue this full time. And I remember, talking to my guru, I talked to my guru for, said, have you ever considered adding to your course like something to teach,
Hmm.
the certification? And he said, "Well, I've thought about it, but actually I think that it's good for people to struggle."
Mm.
And I'm like, "Yes, it is true that it is good for people to struggle. Like if you are lifting weights, you need to lift weights that are heavy, right? That's how you get stronger. So struggle is good. But if you're trying to lift weights and the struggle you're having is figuring out how to put the weight on the bar, like that's not a helpful struggle."
Hmm.
You
Yeah, that's
know?
true.
So so anyway, so yeah, so I had a few clients and he had said to me, like what's your vision? Do you want to
Mm.
do training full time? And I was like, "Oh my gosh, yes, like that's my where I came from. I only went to bookkeeping as a backup." And I said, "Oh my gosh, I would love to have like a training company. That would be amazing." And here I am.
And here you are,
So
yeah.
yeah,
I love
so
it.
I gave my clients away, not realizing that there was such a thing as like selling a business.
Hmm.
I
Yeah.
was like, I don't know, like I just gave clients to people that I could trust. I had a
Hmm.
client that I was charging $1,800 a month,
Hmm.
and I just gave it
Yeah.
gave her to somebody.
Uh-huh.
So yeah.
Oh.
So now we're all training all the time. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So, yeah, let's talk about what all your offerings are. Because when you go to your website now, there's lots of different options.
So many. Yeah.
So, can you kind of talk about like what are those options, price points if you're comfortable sharing that, and
Yeah.
then like who would, if I was a bookkeeper at different stages, which
Yeah.
one would make sense?
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm not going to share price points because this video is going to live forever, and I have no idea what the prices will be in the future. So, and yes, right now the website is, we rebranded and it's pretty, but it's not super helpful. So we're working on that. But it's interesting because as a company, we're so known for the certifications. Like that's how we made our mark on the world that so many people, that's the first thing that they think of. And now that's just like a tiny, tiny part of what we do. So we do offer help with the certification courses. We now call them companion courses, because it used to be that you could just take our course instead of the Intuit training and then go take the test. Now they have changed, Intuit has changed the mechanism for doing the test. And so we now do companion courses where you go through the Intuit material And then our training points out, highlights the things that you need to know. And then of course the thing that makes Acadian stand out above everybody else is our hands-on training.
Hmm.
Everything we do has a hands-on component. So you're not just, remember I said, learn, like I can't learn from reading. So like my company is never going to be just like read this, this textbook. It's all super interactive. So every course we have is video based. There's interactive, what we call interactive reinforcement activities. There's, which is like fill in the blank, drag and drop, that kind of thing. And then there's always a hands-on element where you're going into QuickBooks Online and you're learning the thing and then you're doing the thing so that it actually cements in your brain. So we got started and we still have our companion courses, level one, level two, and QBO payroll. We still have those. Um, Kind of the evolution of how our courses came about is different than the path that we recommend now. And so let me just tell you the evolution of it, and then we'll kind of backtrack.
Okay.
So I got on the map. Everyone loved us for our certification courses. And then people said, well, I'm certified, but I don't actually know what I'm doing. So what is a day-to-day life of a bookkeeper? Or people said, I can't get a job without experience and I can't get a job or can't get experience without a job, right? So they're like, or I wish that I could shadow somebody, or I wish that I could get an internship, or like, how can I find out like exactly what it's like being a bookkeeper? And we already had all this experience of creating hands-on exercises. So I said, well, why don't we just create a simulation? So now we have what we call the QBO gym. It's a play on words because that's where you go exercise. And so we have the QBO gym, which is a full year of simulations where you get to be the bookkeeper for a fictitious business owner. And throughout the year, and it doesn't take a full calendar year, it takes about 42 real-time hours to get through it all. Each month is about 3 or 4 hours of time, which is about what you would spend on a simple client. And every month something happens to Craig in his business that you then have to use a feature of QBO to handle. So one of my favorite issues is Craig gets a job doing, so Craig's a landscaper. We use the sample company that,
Okay.
that QuickBooks provides. And he gets a job with a wedding planner and has to do the landscaping for these two different weddings. And so he wants to track all of his activity, time, materials, income, and expenses for these two different jobs. And he wants to compare and see which one is more profitable. So that issue, we spend a whole time, all the time they're learning about projects and how to use projects and actually like things happen that they then have to, like, I think at one point, maybe I'm confusing, but at one point in one of our exercises somewhere, like he has a tool that breaks, and he has to call somebody to come and like bring him a new tool. So then he has to pay that guy. And anyway, like all this stuff happens. And so you get actual hands-on. And by the time the year is over, you get a completion certificate that says that you have 1 year of experience using QuickBooks Online. So that is the QBO gym, and the QBO gym like is this amazing thing. People love it. They learn, not only do they learn QuickBooks Online, really deeply inside and out, but they get their confidence up. They're like, oh, like this is how it's supposed to work. So we created the QBO gym and we thought, wow, this is a great product. We should sell this to accounting firms. We should go to accounting firms and, say all of your staff should be using the QBO gym. Like this would be amazing. We actually hired a full-time, this is one of our full-time employees. we actually hired a full-time person to knock on the doors of accounting firms and say, "Hey, look at this great product we have. Don't you think it'd be helpful for your staff?" And over and over and over and over, what we heard was, "But do they know bookkeeping?" See, up
Mhm.
until this point, all we had ever done was teach software. We'd never taught like the bookkeeping and accounting underneath. We always thought, well, they'll get that somewhere else. But the demand, just like before, like the voices got so loud, the demand was so high that they said, but do they know bookkeeping? What we really need is a bookkeeper who actually knows what they're doing, who actually knows what debits and credits are, who actually knows how what they're doing affects the reports, who actually knows how to organize the chart of accounts and the equity section so that it is useful for the person that's going to receive the books when you're done. And so we said, "Oh, okay, well, we'll build that then." So that is our most recent offering. We call it Bookkeeping Fast Track,
Okay.
and it's designed to take somebody in less than 40 hours to from knowing nothing. So we have the very first lesson is what is bookkeeping, all the way through to being an elite level bookkeeping advisor consultant so that they know all, not only know all of the ins and outs and all the whys and wherefores and what to click and all and how everything affects everything else, but they also know how to talk to the business owner about the books so that they can look at a report and say, "This is what you're seeing. This is what it means. These are the decisions that you need to make." And so we're pretty excited about that. So,
Oh,
Bookkeeping Fast Track, even though it's our most recent course,
mhm.
is actually the course that we tell everybody that you need to take first.
Okay.
Because that's the one that really teaches the core. So we have the bookkeeping fast track, we have the QBO gym, and then we also have a QBO cleanup course, which was co-developed with Cora Jankowski, who used to be an Intuit cleanup specialist and is kind of the queen of cleanups. Like this is people gravitate toward her. And so in that course, we're teaching people how to, number one, diagnose a messy set of books, because one of the key problems that people have when they land a client is that there's all this mess that they end up having to clean up that they didn't price for, that they didn't think, or there's like scope creep. So they didn't think it was going to be that bad. And then they rolled up their sleeves and got in and found out, oops, like this is taking me 10,000 hours and I only charged $500 for it. So we teach them how to avoid that in the cleanup course, and then how to present the findings of the diagnostic review. So how to do the diagnostic review in the first place, how to price the cleanup services based on what you found in the diagnostic review, and then how to present those findings to the business owner so that they understand why you're charging this amount of money and why the books need to be cleaned up, like why you can't go and continue to do your job unless all of this is taken care of first. And then we teach you how to actually do the cleanup in an efficient and systematic way so that you don't have duplicate effort. So you don't like fix a thing and then go, "Oh, that chain made this change," and then go fix that. "Oh, shoot, now I have to go do this thing again." So it just makes it easy peasy. So you just go in this particular order and then wrap it up, and yeah, that's where we are.
I love that. That would have been so helpful when I was starting out because I feel like I would do
I
a
know.
cleanup and I figured it out, but it's
Yeah.
like it was a lot of trial and error and kind of like
Oh yeah.
going
Oh
down
yeah.
one path and
Yeah,
um
and I have to tell you, I'm sorry to interrupt, but I have to tell you too that like because Corey is the one that created this course, and I was like going through it, I was like, "Oh my gosh, I made so many mistakes." Like when I first started, it was embarrassing. Like I don't want to go. I don't want that client that I'm thinking of to like ever know that I made this huge mistake in her books.
I know, it's so
And I
true.
way undercharged for it. So
Yep, yep, yeah. I love how you like to like really listen to what people are wanting. Like you're like, okay, this is a need that's out there, and then you're able to like provide a solution for that. Okay, so you said first start with fast track, then go
yep,
to gym,
yep,
and then clean up as
yep,
needed. And what about
yep.
the certification?
The
When would you recommend?
certifications are, yeah, the certifications are just kind of like on an as needed basis, or I like to think of them as a brain break. I got
Mm-hmm.
that term from my curriculum designer. She said, sometimes I'm working on a big project and then I just need to chill and like do something else. And
Mm-hmm.
so the, fast track takes takes about 35 hours to get through fast track. And although everything we do is, we make it fast, fun, and easy, everything is gamified. So there's, bells and whistles and woohoos and ka-chings and badges that you're earning and, all of that stuff. It's super fun. So it's all fun, but it is more dense material when you're learning the bookkeeping stuff. And so hopping over to do the, the certifications, it can be, just kind of give you a break, and it's easier. The certification courses, the level one takes about 5 hours to get through. Level two is longer. It takes about 8 to 10 hours. And then payroll is pretty quick too. It takes about 3 or 4 hours to get through. So, and then you get that dopamine of like
Yeah.
getting the certification. So,
You're like, got it. Yeah.
and we always recommend, I know like we could have a whole nother video about the efficacy of actually having these
Mhm.
certifications. Um, but we do recommend at a minimum that you have a level one that everyone have a level one certification, just so that you can say, I am a QuickBooks Online Pro advisor. Because I believe that, and maybe you feel differently, but I believe that when you say to people, I'm a QuickBooks Online Pro advisor, that carries a little bit more weight
Mhm.
than when you tell people I'm a bookkeeper.
Mhm.
When you say I'm a bookkeeper, people only want to talk to you when they need a bookkeeper. Whereas if you say I'm a QuickBooks Online Pro advisor, a lot of people have QuickBooks Online and oh, I know like I know so and so and I might have oh yeah, I use QuickBooks Online and I might have a question and I know somebody who that's how they got their very first client was they went to a speed networking thing and that's all they said was I'm a QuickBooks Online Pro advisor and they got their first client. So,
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, it sounds more official somehow.
yeah,
Yeah, because I talk about on my channel too how the word bookkeeper has like kind of a history with a connotation that's
exactly.
not as like high up as other
Yeah,
ways you could say
exactly.
it. If you could go back and talk to yourself at the beginning of the journey, what would you say? Like, I know it sounds like your
Oh
journey
my
was not linear necessarily, but is there things you do differently?
Oh my gosh. I remember I talk about crying on the floor of my daughter's bedroom. Um, I'm in Virginia, and in Virginia, when you have minor children, you have to be separated for a year before you can get divorced. And because it can be a financial hardship to have two households, they let you live um, that year in the same house. So I was separated from my husband, living in the same house um, for a year. It's crazy because we just taken my daughter off to college, or I had taken her. He didn't go. He made his announcement 10 days before I took her off to college. And so when I came back, I moved into her bedroom. Remember, it was my husband's house. So a lot of people say, well, he should have been the one to leave, but it was his house. So, anyway, and I just think, especially like when I didn't get that one job and that was the hardest part. And people, people would tell me it'll get better. And I was like, it might. like it's a 50-50 chance. Like it could get better, but it could also just really suck for the rest of my life. And I, it was just this, I don't know. I don't know. And I, the hard part about that situation too is that my husband was my best friend. And when something awful happens to you, the first thing you want to do is run to your best friend, right? And
Hmm.
he was the very person who was pushing me away. So I was so sad. I was just so alone and not knowing where to turn. And I guess if I could go back now and say that it is going to work out, because again, I was like, well, maybe it will, or maybe it won't. And if I had the person from the future to say it is going to work out, and I don't know, I would not have believed, I would not have believed if anybody had told me on those darkest days what life was going to look like now, no way, no way would I believe it. And I frequently tell my students, and we have now over 25,000 students who have gone through our courses. I tell them that they should all send thank you notes to my ex-husband. Because if that had never happened to me,
Mhm.
we would not be here today. We would not be making the impact that we're making. And so many people have just said that I've turned their lives around, or that I've given them inspiration, or that I've kickstarted their businesses, or just like it's been so warm and wonderful and friendly. And I just never would have believed it. So,
Mhm. That's amazing. That's very inspiring. And I feel like a lot of people who are switching careers and looking at bookkeeping, maybe they're in some kind of transition or a hardship, or, they're out of work or something. Like for me, it was I had a baby, we were in a ton of debt. Like I didn't know, I wanted to contribute. So yeah, it was
mhm.
like a kind of a transition time in a different way. So
Yeah. I've noticed the same, that most people, it seems, bookkeeping as a second career. Like
mm-hmm.
very few people just start off life saying, I'm going to be a bookkeeper.
Yeah. Uh-huh. Yeah, I agree.
But yeah, but a lot of people, like in my same situation, a lot of women,
Hmm.
who just either like had a baby, or their kids left, or their husband left, or,
Hmm.
so yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So do you have any dreams for what's next for your business? Like, do you have
Oh
ideas of,
my,
or are you
oh
just
yeah. Oh yeah.
chilling?
We're gonna take over the world, Mormon. We're gonna take over the world. Um, there, we have so many things brewing. And the one that I can reveal and tell you today, because it will be out very, very, very soon,
Mhm.
is that we are developing an assessment. Um, so one of the hard things about um, testing is number one, a lot of people have test anxiety. Like this is a huge thing. This is why our certification courses, were so helpful to people in the beginning, because it gave them like that calm, like telling them, okay, just how to work through it and all that stuff. But you go to take a test, you have test anxiety. When you get a question wrong, um, it's not always because you don't know the answer, right? It's because you read the question wrong, or you didn't understand the question. Maybe English isn't your first language. Maybe you just clicked the thing wrong, the thing wrong. And some tests now, I don't know if you've heard about the crazy Intuit new way of Intuit certification is
Mhm.
happening. We can have a whole nother conversation about that, about the Intuit certification. But there's so many reasons why you would get a question wrong that don't relate to whether you know the information. And so what this came about because Fast Track is a really big course, and it takes people from, like I said, what is bookkeeping to all the way being an elite bookkeeper. Well, what if you're somewhere in the middle,
Mm.
right? What if you've been, like, should I pay all of that money for a Fast Track? Like, how do I know, like, if I really need it or not? So this was born of people wanting to know, should they take Fast Track? And so we're developing an assessment, but I'm anti-test. I don't like, you'll always hear me say that tests don't just prove that you know how to take a test. It doesn't necessarily mean that you know anything about it. And so this assessment is an AI-driven conversational adaptive assessment. So the way that it will work is that you're actually just having a conversation with the AI, and it will adapt to how well you know the information. So if you're a whippersnapper and you like seem to like be really good, then it'll ask you more difficult questions. And if you are just starting out, then it'll ask you more simple questions. And if you get a question wrong, it will say, let's try that again. Let's maybe you didn't read. We did had a test. One of our alpha. It's not even a beta test. An alpha tester actually did exactly that. Got completely misunderstood the question and answered, and it's not clicking a multiple choice. It's not a drop down. It's like actually a conversation, and you can type it out or you can speak it as if you're having a conversation. So this person got it totally wrong, and it was obvious that they just didn't understand the question. And the AI did it precisely. It was such a beautiful moment for me. The AI did precisely what it was supposed to do and say, huh, well, actually, I'm not asking about such and such. What I'm actually asking about is this. And that person, when they get their results, like they're not going to be dinged for that.
Mhm.
So anyway, and then it'll give them a printout, results where they can see exactly where they are weak. If they need to if maybe they'll test out a fast track, maybe they'll say, "Oh, you're golden." Maybe it'll say, "You know what? You just need fast track, and you just need to study this module and that module. It'll tell you exactly where it is." Or maybe it'll say, "Nope, you really need fast track." And there'll be different modes. So the one mode is just testing out a fast track. Another mode is for accounting firms to test their employees so
Mhm.
that they can just use it to see how their employees are doing and then what they need to review. And then another mode is if you are applying for a job, you can just take the test, print out the report, attach it to your resume. And so we see that there's going to be a huge, 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 like, I'm so excited about the assessment. I'm so excited about there's nothing like it there's nothing like
Yeah.
it out there.
Uh-huh.
And,
Yeah, that sounds amazing. Yeah, even just that technology exists. I'm like, wow.
right, right.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Yeah, yeah. So that's coming.
Hmm.
And yeah, and we also have all sorts of things up our sleeve all the time.
I know. I can't wait to see what else you guys have going. Thank you so much for taking the time today to talk to us and
Oh,
let us know
you're
all about your
welcome.
business and your
Yeah.
story. So there's all your stuff will be linked in my description box. And where else should they go to find you?
People are always welcome to connect with me personally on LinkedIn. I'm the only Margie Remmers-Davis out there.
Okay.
But what we really encourage people to do is come join the locker room. The locker room is our free Facebook group where people can like hang out. This is what I used to say. It's like where you hang out after you work out.
The
So
locker room, yeah.
yeah. So you can get, as a member of the locker room, you get a free QBO Quick Start course. You get over 100 free hands-on exercises. I do a free class every Friday, and so you get what we call the exercise of the week. And it's just a fun place to hang out, get your questions answered about using QuickBooks Online, and we'd love to have you.
Love it. Yeah, thanks. Yeah. All right. We'll talk to you again soon.
All right. Thank you. Bye
Mhm.
bye.
Bye.